So this happened. I don't know if I have fully processed the fact that Dave Filoni, Sigourney Weaver, Jon Favreau, and Pedro Pascal have now seen my face and talked directly to me. I'm not sure that I will ever quite process that fact because it is absolutely insane to even consider that that would be an option, but I guess that it was, and here we are. So I made a video a couple weeks ago on my short form pages talking about my predictions for The Mandalorian and Grogu. This, of course, was before the movie came out. At the time, I thought that it would be a cool idea to do that and then come here and watch that video with you guys and react to it after I had seen the full movie. And when I sat down to record, that is what I thought was going to happen. We were just gonna watch that video and react to it together. But then one of my mutuals sent me this video with just the caption, "You're in this." I was like, there's no way I'm in this. So I watched it. And actually two of my mutuals are in there as well, Hypercrisy and then For the Lord. And both of their little segments were before mine. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe they just like confused my handle for like Hypercrisy or something, and that's fine. And then my video came up and I lost my mind. I still haven't fully processed it. I've watched it a couple times now. I think that it might be fun to watch this together, kind of react to the reaction, and then we'll go through my original short form video and see how correct or incorrect I was about my Mando and Grogu presumptions. This is a great time to give a huge, massive spoiler warning. I am going to be talking about specific things that happen inside of this movie. If you have not seen it yet, save this video and come back when you're done. I would love to hear what you think about it, but you deserve to go into this movie without spoilers. We're gonna watch the Entertainment Weekly clip first. I will also go ahead and link the video down below if you haven't seen the full thing. It's a really fun watch, especially if you've seen the movie. You can kind of gauge what they were nodding towards without giving a ton of spoilers away. But let's go ahead and watch my little clip.
These are all very Star Wars-y handles.
I think that Dana's going to have immediately after that. I love that he clocked my username. Half of this movie, just by the nature of Pedro Pascal being in this movie, it is going to draw in a good handful of people that maybe would not have watched this film otherwise, but are a huge fan of him. What I hope is going to happen is that Ezra is going to show up. It is possible, but unlikely, that Din Djarin does not make it out of this movie, and Grogu chooses to the way he's laughing at me. Both sides of himself, and some Force user comes and takes him.
They love to kill me.
No.
They really love
how
to
much
kill me.
people want to see you, and now she's going to kill you.
They kill me off. I do die a lot.
He does die a lot.
In movies. Can I point something out that we were noticing on the shelf behind her? This is a very deep cut for Twin Suns, and I actually have that same piece of merch. This is a character, that a species that Dave came up with.
Right behind
there.
There it is.
That's,
There's our guy.
I have one of those. Would you like to tell them what
the puffer pig?
Puffer pig. When they get scared, they float. And
They're
when you
so
squeeze
cute
them,
in
it
Rebels.
makes a flatulent sound.
I forgot how
They
cute they were
blow
when they
like
were
a giant
animated.
puffer pig. Twin Suns, obviously Rebels.
I'm a Rebels fan.
Rebels connection. So
yes.
Next.
I mean, that's so cool, right? The fact that they clocked me as a Rebels fan just from this guy. I did also mention that I wanted to see Ezra in there, so that definitely could have given it away as well. And I would like to state for the record, the part of me talking about Din maybe not making it out of this movie was in the part of the video where I was talking about things that I personally did not want to happen. As I've said, I have no words. This is one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. They didn't reach out to me at all. There was no like submission process to get them to view this. I have no idea even how they found this video unless they were like scrolling the Mandalorian and Grogu tag on TikTok. Seeing one of the literal presidents of Star Wars and then someone who is so integral to the franchise react to not only what I was saying but like my shelves and my little pig. It makes my heart so happy. And the fact that they were looking at my shelves, I hope means that they also saw all the Acolyte stuff. Dave Filoni, if you're seeing this, please bring back the Acolyte. And in case you were wondering, this is from Galaxy's Edge. Rubber chicken style. When you squeeze him, he makes a noise. So here's what that sounds like if anyone's interested. I love him so dearly. And now he is my prized possession. This is the pig that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau recognize. Now we can do what this video was supposed to be about. Let's go through what I said in this and see how much of it was right or not right. I gave, I think, 2 examples for things that I think were definitely going to happen, things that I thought were a little bit less likely but could happen, and things that I think were not super likely but I could see happening. And that category also kind of became things that I don't want to see but I could justify happening in this film based off of what I had seen both from the 25-minute Fandango preview event and from all of the trailers and TV spots that had come out. Absolutely, we are going to get a ton of parallels drawn between between Yoda and Grogu in this film. We've already seen it a little bit in the previews. As far as parallels between Yoda and Grogu go in this film, it's not a ton, but they are definitely there, especially in the like middle-ish third of the film where Din is down for the count and Grogu is nursing him back to health. And within that, we also see him grab a stick and walk around the swamp, and then he's meditating on this huge log branch thing. All of this felt very Yoda on Dagobah-like, though it wasn't direct parallels. Watching it, being someone who is intimately familiar with Yoda, I saw him in these scenes, but it wasn't a direct nod or comparison, and I think the way that it was done was very tasteful. This is like 75% correct, I would say. Another thing I feel like for sure is going to happen is that there are going to be a lot of sentimental nostalgia-y moments in this movie, direct parallels to things that we saw, I think, more in seasons 1 and 2. This one I thought was for sure just an easy slide in, this is definitely going to happen, and it kind of didn't. The thing that I had in my mind specifically when I was talking about this was the little ball from the Razor Crest that Grogu was obsessed with in the show. I saw in the previews that that was back in the new version of the Razor Crest, so I was like, for sure we're going to get a moment of Din unscrewing it and handing it to Grogu and being like, here, this is your piece of the Razor Crest. And that didn't happen. I feel like that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, but besides that, there are moments that are definitely reminiscent of the first 2 seasons in particular of the show. They go back to Navarro, we see the hut again, meaning like Mando's hut, not H-U-T-T. Of course, we had the Razor Crest back. Grogu gets a moment in a pram again, which kind of goes back to the first season of the show. But overall, there weren't a ton of similarities besides just it being the Mandalorian and Grogu together and that being just kind of the vibe of the show. I think that this is mostly wrong, which is crazy because this was the thing I was most sure about. Last thing I think for sure we're going to get is possibly 2 cinematic moments with Carson Teva and Zeb, either together or separately. So Carson Teva and Zeb separately are in this movie. We don't get a moment with them together, but there is definitely a moment for both of them. Zeb gets actually a ton of moments in this film. My personal favorite moment from Zeb in this film was him going through the hallway and taking out all the troopers in it. That was such a cool moment and made me really, really miss Rebels. Carson Teva doesn't have a cool moment necessarily. He just kind of shows up and then is gone. We see him in his X-Wing and that is literally it. Overall, this is like a 50-50. Zeb definitely had a ton of cool moments. Carson Teva did not. So it was halfway correct. Some things that I think we will probably get but maybe aren't as likely. I think that Din is going to have his helmet off for a little less than half of this movie. Okay, this was what Sigourney and Pedro and John and Dave were reacting to. My reasoning for saying that Din was going to have his helmet off for a majority of this movie was saying that Pedro Pascal draws a lot of people into the theater just because they are fans of him, not necessarily because they're fans of whatever project he's in. And while I could see that everyone agreed with that piece of information, I was fully incorrect. I would say that we see Pedro's face for 15 minutes, if less than that. There's one specific scene on Nal Hutta. The helmet's removed, he talks to the twins throw him in the snake pit, he fights the snake, and the other stuff that's down there. And halfway through that scene, he gets the helmet back and puts it back on. Having watched the movie and knowing how much of it was action scenes, I understand why it was just that little sliver with the helmet off. And while we're on the subject, I want to say that I am so happy that both Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder got single screen credits at the beginning of the movie, just like Pedro and Sigourney and Martin Scorsese did. We don't see these stunt performers getting credits like that very often, and I think that it was so important to have them featured in those like main role credits. Literally could not have happened without these 2 people. Brendan and Lateef are just as much the Mandalorian Din Djarin as Pedro Pascal is, even though Pedro is the face and the voice. Legitimately, when I saw that for the first time during the like 25-minute preview, I started tearing up. So happy that they're getting this recognition. Anyways, as far as the helmet being off goes, completely incorrect. Second thing I think maybe isn't as likely, but I hope that it happens, is that we get a Ghost Crew shout out and or a cameo. What I hope is going to happen is that Ezra is going to show up, but I truly have no idea. I just hope because Zeb is there, we get a little bit of a nod to Rebels. This was also part of the quadruplet reaction video, but they cut away from it a little bit. as Dave and John were recognizing the puffer pig in the background. My reasoning for this was that Zeb is going to be a bigger part of this movie, and because we would have a little bit more time, maybe a little bit more time specifically with the New Republic base, we would see maybe just the ghost in the background or someone would show up and it would kind of tie in Ahsoka Season 1, give a little bit of a spoiler for Ahsoka Season 2. That 100% did not happen. And finally, let's talk about some things that I think are possible but probably won't happen. The biggest one is getting some kind of Force user cameo. Someone to come and take a look at Grogu and give him more information about the Force and give Din more information about what he could potentially become one day. Didn't happen. Based on the later trailers that we got, there was a lot more of Grogu on his own using the Force, and that led me into the thought process of like, okay, what if Ezra does show up and he teaches Grogu a few things? Force Ghost Yoda moment, maybe. There are a ton of different things floating around in my head, none of which happened. Along those same lines, I think that it is possible but unlikely that Din Djarin does not make it out of this movie. This was the last part that they reacted to. The last trailer in particular, where it's a close-up on Din's lifeless hand and Grogu putting his hand on top of it, had me really thinking that they were getting people ready for the fact that Din might not make it, but also before going into the movie, considering that this could have been like a huge epic conclusion to the Mandalorian and Grogu's story, it would make sense that this was Din's final moment. I am glad that was not the case because I do really, really want to see these two develop more, both together and separately, and I would like to see an actual conclusion to their story, not necessarily one where either of them die, but I would like to see what happens to them in the lead up to the rise of the First Order. This, again, was one that I could see happening but didn't necessarily want to happen, and I'm really glad that this one was incorrect. I do say at the end of this one that I could see a world where Din dies and Grogu embraces both sides of himself, the Mandalorian side and the Force-using side, and I think that is kind of what happened in this movie, although Din definitely lived through it. Grogu uses the Force a ton in this film, and I think that that is a really good sign for what we could get of him in the future, this New Age Jedi Mandalorian, which I think is such a cool concept, and the fact that it would be a Yoda is just my dream scenario, honestly. I cannot wait for him to get a little Mandalorian helmet. It's gonna be so sick. So those were my predictions for the film. I think it is safe to say that they were all incorrect. There were a few moments that I chose correctly, but as a whole, I was kind of taking a shot in the dark, and I think I missed every single target, which honestly is okay in my opinion. I think that it's a good sign that I was thinking so drastically in the other direction for a lot of these things, because it means that they didn't give away every single thing in the trailers, and that is kind of what I was scared of for this movie. There were a lot of really big moments shown in the trailers, and I was scared that they gave everything away already, and I'm happy to report that's not the case, especially when it comes to Rhoda. There are so many cool Rhoda scenes in this movie that you have no idea about going into it. Zeb as well has a ton of really cool moments that we didn't really see going in. Full spoiler included thoughts for this movie are coming very soon, but just to say it briefly, I really did love this movie. I think that Star Wars is at its best when it's telling these little secular stories. Not everything has to be galaxy-changing, like earth-shattering moments, and I think that this movie did a really good job about being a self-contained, fun adventure, just like the series is. I wouldn't say that this necessarily felt like 4 or 5 episodes of the series, but I think it does match the vibe of the series very well while still definitely feeling very cinematic, theatrical, worthy of going to a movie theater and sitting down for 2 hours and watching this movie. I would love to hear all of your thoughts about this movie in the comments. Let me know what you liked about it, maybe what you thought could have been done better. And while you're down there, if you want my Star Wars, make sure you press the subscribe button. I upload videos weekly talking about just that. We are currently in the middle of my year-long quest to go through all of Star Wars chronologically. We are just about to hit the original trilogy, which I'm so excited about because I have not watched those movies in, I think it's been at least 5 years at this point, so I cannot wait to go watch those again. If you want to find me other places, all the links will be in the description. I'd love to see you over there. But for right now, I think we're done here, so I will see you in the next one. Bye!